I'm Dan Starks, founder of the National Museum of Military Vehicles. On this video, we're sharing with you the most important firearm in American history, the musket that fired the first shot at the Battle of Bunker Hill. In this video, I'm going to briefly review the history of the Battle of Bunker Hill, the birthday of the United States Army. I then want to walk you through some of the details of this particular musket and bayonet, and then talk about how we got our hands on this to share with everybody at the museum here in Dubois, Wyoming. So first, a little bit of history. The birthday of the United States Army is June 14, 1775. Just 3 days after the Continental Congress formed the first American military, we fought the British at the Battle of Bunker Hill, Breed's Hill, Bunker Hill, just outside Boston. That's the battle where the American patriots appeared in the middle of the night with their personal weapons, with picks and shovels, and in the darkest of night, they created defensive fortifications on high ground overlooking the British encampment on the other side of the Charles River. The British wake up in the morning, they see a Patriot army that has appeared out of nowhere and won't stand for it. The British load onto their barges, they cross the Charles River, and they prepare to clean out the rebel rabble. The Patriots knew they did not have enough ammunition to fight the British very long. One of the Patriot officers, a Colonel William Prescott, therefore issued an order to this first American military: don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. Every shot had to count. Now, if you look at this musket, you'll see this is a Type 3 Dutch smoothbore musket, a 79 caliber musket. It doesn't even have a rear sight and not accurate at much range, so every shot had to count. That was the reason for that order. Wait until the British are just right on top of you. You can't afford to waste a bullet. The Patriot who brought this particular weapon to the fight was a New Hampshire Patriot named John Simpson. John Simpson was a marksman. He was confident in his shooting ability, and he couldn't stomach holding fire in the face of an arrogant British officer high on horseback about 54 yards away from the Patriot lines. So John Simpson violated that order, fired the first shot, hit that British officer, knocked him off his horse. The battle then ensued until finally the Patriots ran out of ammunition and were overrun by the British. John Simpson's early shot created a dilemma for the American officers. Although all of the Americans in this first American military were volunteers, the officers wanted to educate these patriots that even though they were volunteers, now that they were in the Army, when an officer issued an order, it wasn't a suggestion, it was something that everybody had to follow. So as a point of education, the American officers conducted a court-martial the morning after the Battle of Bunker Hill to drive home the point that this is serious business to disobey an order. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm imagining that John Simpson played poker with his buddies the night of the Battle of Bunker Hill and cleaned them out of all their money, because in that court-martial, nobody covered for John Simpson. Everybody ratted him out and said he did it. Simpson was convicted of violating an order. His punishment was only a slap on the wrist. Again, this was a point of education, not a point of punishment. Simpson then survived the rest of the war. He was promoted to major by the end of the war. And when the war was over, then Simpson returned home with his personal weapon. The firearm then stayed in the Simpson family until 2019, when his descendants decided this needs to be shared with the public, and they auctioned it off at a Morphy Auctions International Firearms Auction. I'm looking through the catalog, I see this is coming up for auction. I went home, told my wife, I can't believe this exists. I can't believe it's coming up for sale. I told her, I'm not going to register to bid on it. It's going to be too expensive. She told me I had to buy it. So just to keep peace at home, that's why I did it. It was just to keep peace at home. I bought the musket, and now $492,000 later, the musket that fired the first shot at the Battle of Bunker Hill is right where everyone around the United States and the world would expect to have to come to see it, Dubois, Wyoming. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the details of this musket. This is a Dutch Type 3 smoothbore musket. It has what's called a rack number, not a serial number, rack number 696 on the barrel, and a matching rack number 696 on the bayonet. So this is a matched set, right, dating back to its first leaving Dutch inventory. The characteristic of these Dutch Type 3 muskets was barrel bands. Some of the muskets had 3 barrel bands, some of them had 4. This particular example has 4 barrel bands. And here you see the flintlock action. Now, as far as we know, this firearm is operational. We're having this evaluated by an expert to see if this would be safe for us to fire on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence next year in 2026. But you can see half cock, full cock. This seems to be completely functional. We can't visually detect any discrepancies that would keep us from firing this. So we want to be safe. We want to make sure we don't ruin this historic artifact, but we're hoping to celebrate our 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence by firing this for the first time in a couple of centuries. This is the real deal. There's all kinds of battle damage. This was not a museum piece. Now it's a museum piece, but you see all kinds of dings, additional markings, but it's in surprisingly good shape for a firearm that was manufactured sometime between 1750 and 1770. The real value of this firearm is not the technical details, it's the symbolism. It's what it stands for. There's not another single artifact in the United States that better represents the founding of the country than the musket that fired the first shot at the first battle of the first American military. There's only one. There are multiple copies of the Declaration of Independence. We don't have documentation on first shot that fired in the Battle of Lexington on April of 1775. So this is it. It symbolizes not only the beginning of the United States, it symbolizes why the United States has a Second Amendment. This was a citizen's personal firearm that citizen brought out to fight tyranny on the battlefield. This musket also symbolizes the role of the citizen soldier in creating and preserving the freedom of the United States. Chills up and down my spine holding this. This is the first time we brought it out of its display since the museum opened. The reason we brought it out is to evaluate the possibility of firing this next year. But in the meantime, we took advantage of it to create this video. If you'd like to come see it in person, please visit us at the National Museum of Military Vehicles in Dubois, Wyoming.